This is OwlUp, where learning happens in minutes, not hours. For a deeper journey, explore all our courses at owlup.co. Now, let's dive in. Welcome back to Chapter 3 of Your Brain on Money, where we're diving into hyperbolic discounting, basically why your brain tricks you into grabbing that $20 today instead of waiting for $50 next month. We'll explore what this sneaky mental shortcut is and why it's probably sabotaging more of your money decisions than you realize. Let's get into it. You plan to be responsible next month, but when the weekend hits, the money's gone. Here's the twist. In lab experiments, people treat a reward just a week away as far less valuable than one they can grab today. Same reward, same person. Totally different choice. Why? Here's where it gets uncomfortable. This isn't just about weak willpower or bad habits. Your brain is wired to treat now as a VIP guest and later as someone stuck outside in the rain. That wiring bends everything from how you handle a surprise bonus to whether you cash out your retirement account when you switch jobs. Hyperbolic discounting turns your timeline into a warped map. The first few steps ahead look steep and important, while the distant years flatten into almost nothing. That's why a $200 impulse buy today can feel more real than thousands of quiet dollars growing in an account you won't touch for decades. This bias doesn't just trip up individuals. It shapes which financial products succeed, how companies design benefits, and why so many helpful money apps quietly fight your future self's battles in the background. Economists once assumed we were rational planners, smoothing consumption calmly over a lifetime. Then, data started misbehaving. People would pay steep fees to borrow from the same savings accounts they'd just promised not to touch. Workers turned down free employer matches, but eagerly joined plans that raised their savings automatically later, no extra bonus attached. Lab experiments, brain scans, and real-world programs began pointing to the same culprit. Our preferences flip as later becomes now, twisting careful plans into sudden detours the moment real money is within reach. In the classic experiments, people face choices like $50 today or $60 in a month. Most grab the $50, but move both options into the future, $50 in 12 months or $60 in 13 months, and suddenly many are happy to wait. Same gap, same person, totally different preference once today is on the table. That steep drop in patience near the present is exactly what shows up in Thaler's finding that people discount over the first month several times more than between years 4 and 5. The result is two versions of you that don't quite agree. The planner self signs up for the gym, turns on a savings rule, promises not to touch the retirement account. The doer self shows up later, sees cash it can access, and quietly rewrites the plan. That tension is why early withdrawals drain tens of billions from retirement accounts in a single year. Money people had already decided was for later. Neuroscience gives that conflict a physical address. When rewards are immediate, brain regions tied to craving and emotional salience, like the ventral striatum and medial prefrontal cortex, light up more strongly. Push the reward into the future, and more deliberative systems weigh in, but they're often outgunned in the heat of the moment. It's not that you don't care about the future, it's that the signal for now is louder, faster, and feels more concrete. Crucially, this pattern shows up everywhere, in undergraduates and executives, in physicians reading journals between surgeries, in shoppers choosing between brands. It also appears in other species, from pigeons pecking levers to monkeys choosing fruit juice timing. That's why experts caution against calling it mere irrationality that disappears with effort or education. It's more like a built-in quirk of the machinery. Because raising future payoffs alone doesn't reliably fix the problem, the real breakthroughs have come from redesigning the decision environment. Programs like Save More Tomorrow didn't promise magical returns. They simply harnessed your predictable tendency to accept sacrifices that are scheduled for later, converting that bias from an enemy of your goals into an ally. A touring musician knows this pattern well. In every new city, there's the option to crash early and protect tomorrow's voice, or stay out late for one more song, one more drink, one more story. Each yes feels tiny and justified. The damage only shows up weeks into the tour, when the set list has to be shortened. Money decisions play out the same way in everyday life. A freelancer might plan to set aside part of every invoice, but when payment hits, a temporary splurge on gear or a weekend trip wins. Parents promise themselves they'll fund a college account with the next raise, then quietly reroute it to a remodeled kitchen. Even high earners who understand compound growth intellectually can find themselves holding company stock for prestige while carrying credit card balances at punishing rates. Hyperbolic discounting isn't just about small luxuries. It nudges career moves too. Choosing a slightly higher salary today over equity or training that could matter far more a decade from now. If present-focused instincts keep steering us off course, the next frontier is learning to design around them instead of fighting them. Banking tools may start to feel less like ledgers and more like training partners, surfacing future you as vividly as a face in a video call. Workplace benefits could adapt too. Bonuses split automatically between now, soon, and much later, like playlists for different moods. The open question is who controls these levers, you, your employer, or whatever AI runs the interface. Your challenge this week: notice one moment each day when later quietly loses to now. A tab you open, a sale you chase, a subscription you skip canceling. Then ask, if I replayed this choice in a year, which option would future me thank me for? Over time, that tiny pause becomes like tuning an instrument, bringing your short and long term into better harmony. This was OwlUp, your daily step forward. This series continues with more chapters on OwlUp.co. Visit OwlUp.co to access the complete course and continue your learning journey. See you there!